Welcome back to Neil Donaldson's Lotus XL restoration. We're up to video 46, I think now. Yeah, in the last video obviously I completed the job of getting the problems I had with the wiper motor sorted out, and I've installed it and checked it, and it seems to be okay now. Obviously I won't know for sure what's going on there until I have to actually take it out for a test run. The problem is, of course, everything's in pieces at the moment. The dashboard's out. A lot of the interior has been stripped out of the car as well. So that's going to be the topic. So obviously I'm going to concentrate on this video today, is strip the old leather from the dashboard and other components within the interior, for example the centre console bit there, and start trying to reupholster those. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I've never done much of this kind of work before in the past, so I guess we'll just have to see where it takes us, and if I'm going to be satisfied with the results. Obviously if I'm not, that's going to be a big problem, so I'm going to have to take it to some kind of professional upholsterer, which I haven't got the money to do so at the moment. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode. As I say, hit the like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel. It costs absolutely nothing, just a click down below. In YouTube, we've already got a YouTube account set up. Once again, a big thank you to my regular viewers who always offer encouraging comments. In addition to the usual ones like Angus and Andrew Lane, obviously Neil Bennett, Ridian Evans, who's also a regular, Todd Gibbs. I don't know if you've checked out his channel, but he's restored a Porsche 928. Check out his channel on YouTube. Done some very interesting videos there. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy this video. So, let's get on with it. I'm going to start taking this to pieces and removing the extremely ugly leather pieces here and seeing what I can do. So I'll have a quick look around it and see what's what. See, this bit of felt at the side, I'm really wondering whether I'm going to try and keep that or replace it. One of the options, well, an option is to use just the same leather and attaching another piece there, or to use the headlining material is also another option. I'll still have a bit of a think about that. This piece in the middle here seems to be held on by a rivet there across this bit here, and it looks like there's a couple of rivets holding that bit there as well. Yeah, as you can see, the main bits of leather, it seems to be there's one piece of leather sort of going around this bit, which is stitched usually in the middle of there, and then moving along this side, again it's a similar scenario. Sort of runs along to the edge here, all the way under there. It looks like it's sewn in the middle bit here, so that looks like a different piece to this bit here. Now, also, let's have a look at somewhere like for example, these bits of heating ducts here. They seem to be, there's two attachments that seem to be riveting them in place, so I'll have to try and remove them first to remove these heating ducts. And it's the same a bit on this side as well. Perhaps it's a bit difficult to see that, but let me put it up, then we can have a look at it. Yeah, there's like two bits of steel sort of seems to be holding that in place, so I'll try and remove them as well. I don't know how easy that's going to be. And removing the glove box as well. But let me get on with that, drilling out some rivets and removing the components from the dash. I've drilled off the rivets that hold this centre bit off on here. So that's now detached. Yeah, just drilled the rivets out from there. I've removed that vent. And the next thing I'm going to concentrate now on is removing the cover for the glove box. So I'm doing these 4 nuts here, 1, 2, and then there's 2 on the outside as well. And the 2 bolts holding the brackets in place, which are 10mm. So there and there. So then the glove box itself looks, yeah, it's loose there, but it looks like it's held in then with 4 rivets here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think it should just drop out. Let me drill them out. So after you've drilled the 4 rivets out, the glove box itself simply drops out. So I've drilled off these 2 rivets here on this side and removed the passenger side air duct, and I'm going to try and remove that particular, the vent itself there. I've managed to strip the main pieces of leather from the dashboard, and as you can see the dashboard there is also broken. It was a bit weak in the middle there, and it came off when I was removing the leather bits, but so I'll have to get the fiberglass out and put that back together. For these 2 here, I'll still have to split this piece here, which is has a seam there, but they're the main pieces of the dashboard. Obviously there's the centre bit there. I've got to remove the side panels, or at least one side panel from that, and cover that as well. So I'll concentrate on that bit now, separating those 2 pieces. I've stripped most of the pieces now. I think what I'm going to concentrate on first, rather than the big pieces and the dashboard, is this bit for the gear stick. It seems to be held on by some nuts, and there's bits of elastic that are attached to it, and they seem to be riveted on. So I'll go ahead and remove all that now and concentrate on that bit first. Now with this piece I'm going to have to be a bit careful, because it's obviously not a square and each side is a different length, so that should fit on there like that, and that's how it is looking forward. So what I'll do is I think I'll mark each piece as front, back, left and right. Yeah, front, back, left and right. I'll mark them before I start stripping it. Taking the stitches out. So I've measured out the front and left bit of the gaiter, and I'm going to stitch these together and see how well that comes out. So this is where we're at the moment. I've been experimenting a little bit with French stitches, and generally speaking it's gone okay, although this corner here could have been a bit better. The others are not too bad, I have to say, but yeah. Now the tricky bit comes into play, because obviously if I sew those 2 together, then the whole French stitching and all that gets a little bit complicated. So I'll probably try and put a kind of a fake French stitch in first before I sew those 2 edges together. Let's see how I get on with that. Well, this is the first attempt, and although there's a fair amount that's right on it, there's too much that's wrong with it, and I'm going to have to start again. I think here I screwed up completely with the French stitch. Well, it's a fake French stitch anyway on that side. You've got to do the French stitch before you actually sew the pieces together, because you won't get it in the sewing machine from the inside or the outside like that. So and I'm also a bit concerned here about the top of the gaiter. It's that when I fold it over there and it attaches to the gear stick, that's just going to be too wide and it's just not going to look right. So I'm going to have to measure this out properly I think maybe even ignore the old bits. It's a lot more complicated than it looks, this actually, especially if you want to put French stitching in there. I've decided to take a different approach. I've made templates out of cardboard now, paying a lot more attention to the thinness of the edges here. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a reasonable fit at the top there as well, and also measuring the bottom of each from the support bit there, the metal ring thing there. I'll cut them out then and start measuring out some material. Now, there's nothing particularly complicated about doing this, but because there's a lot of things to do, you do tend to make mistakes, and I've got so far already. I have made mistakes even with this bit. The pleats here I've not sewed properly, the French stitching, like for example that bit there. However, I think I'll get away with that because you don't see much of that on that side. And now comes the really complicated bit, or the tricky bit I should say, is when I've got to join this side with this side and get a French stitch in there. Normally you would just join it here and you could just live with that. The problem is you've got, after you've joined it, you've got to put a French stitch in there. So I've got to put the French stitching actually before I sew these two pieces together, and that means I've got to be really precise now with how I go about this, both sides, otherwise it just isn't going to look right. So what I think I'll do is I'll put them exactly together and cut them down to exactly where they are and try and measure that and put in another line along the seam there of where I'm going to sew the French stitch and where I'm going to join them together. So I've just about finished that, and how I completed the last bit there to join it together, it was I sewed into, well, first of all I marked it out with the black line that you see there, and that was for the French stitch, the fake French stitch if you like, and sewed both of them in place. And then I hand stitched along the seams very, very carefully, making sure that both sides were aligned properly, and then turned it inside out, and it looked just about fine, looked okay, looked good. And then turned it back inside out again and run a machine stitch basically along the line of the hand stitch in there. And let me just turn it back the other way again. That bit there is actually the hand stitch bit, and as you can see it's not perfect, but that'll be facing the front of the car and you can't see that anyway, and the other ones I'm pretty pleased with. So that's job done, I think, with that. I will have to attach it to the metal frame, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that, I have to say. I'm concentrating a little bit on the centre bit of the trimming. The gear stick handle goes through there, and the handbrake goes through there, so I cut a piece out of material here to fit around that piece of trimming. What I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to heat treat this as well, because yeah, the material, how it's going to fit into this centre bit here is going to be also a little bit tricky, but I'll get the heat gun out and see if that will make a difference after sticking this a bit to the plastic. Now we've got to this stage where I've covered this, but as you can see, obviously it's not really satisfactory to put on the car. So the way I'm going to go about this now is I'm going to try and apply a bit of heat to it and see if that makes it a little bit more, yeah, easy on the eye, so to speak. So let me do that now and see how I get on. I have applied the heat gun to there, basically that heat gun there, and I have to say I'm extremely impressed with what's come out of it. It's come out a lot smoother, so obviously I've still got to try and make something of that back bit there, make that a little bit more presentable. But most of that's going to be hidden anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But as I say, that's all not going to be hidden, and I'm extremely satisfied with the results. So that's a very good sign. So this is what it looks like now after applying some heat, and yeah, it's not perfect, especially at the back end there, but most of that you're not going to see anyway. Yeah, but, I'm fairly pleased with it, I have to be honest. And I've put the boot gaiter, the gear stick gaiter in place, and that's pretty much how it's going to look like. And yeah, let me know what you think. So I think I'll conclude the video now. After completing the sort of the centre console bit there. Well, I've still got obviously got to do also the handbrake cover in there, which I haven't sorted yet either. In the next episode, I do expect to get started on the main dashboard itself. So, as I say, stay tuned. This is going to be a fairly short video, I think. Stay tuned for the next upcoming. As I say, the whole interior needs to be sorted out pretty soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Anyway, thanks for taking an interest in my channel. And until the next episode, good night.